Alright.
Here is another build, you furious bastards. This time I'm combining Fury Druid with Shattered Pillar Monk. I've tried many ways in how to make Fury Druid work. While single class, he is not that useful because Storm form is not especially good, except that one skill that you can use, and also because the spells that you get for being Druid Fury that you automatically get per level are fantastic for melee characters. Those returning storms and then the upgraded one, forgot the name, doesn't matter, are amazing spells for melee class because you can run in, do your thing while stunning everyone around you. That's why I find this build to be best with melee classes, especially if you're gonna do a tank multiclassed into Fury Druid. That way you can survive without any issues, engage enemies, stun them, and do your own thing without worrying that you're gonna die. This version is a DPS version because I did not want to do another tanky version like in the previous build that I did, which was a Battle Mage video, where I went with Tanky Bastard using the wizard spells. So I wanted to try something else. I've tried also combining Barbarian and it worked very well, but Monk is simply, as things stand, a better class than Barbarian. Especially for this kind of build, because he can buff himself. The thing is, I'm constantly duoing these fights, so you don't really need all these self buffs. You can immediately go into battle, do your thing, but I have to buff my character in order to survive against same level enemies when only fighting with 2 people against the whole group, while the one of them is only standing around trying to heal me and that's it. It has got no input on DPS whatsoever. These are my stats. I went with obviously Fury. That's the whole point of the build, to find good option for Fury Druid. Shattered Pillar Monk, and I went with Race Nature Godlike to get increased power level while we are under Swift Flurry, for example, or Enlightened Agony effect. So it means our storms will be more powerful. These are the attributes. I had to dump something, so Resolve had to go. I put it at 6. Intellect 15, base +1 from Godlike is more than enough. Perception needs to be as close to maximum as possible, same as Dexterity. Still, with Swift Flurry we will receive some additional action speed, so it doesn't have to be maxed out if you don't want it to. Constitution I left at 10, and you can buff it later on through some items, and Might at 13. Just to add a bit of the damage to our attacks, and to the spell damage as well. Although the storms are not primarily for damage, they are primarily for crowd control, for stunning the bastards. That's also where perception comes into play with the accuracy component, because the more accuracy we have, the more chance we're gonna have of stunning the opponent. From the active abilities of the Druid tree, we don't need anything from the spells. I started with Charm Beast because I find it very useful in certain situations, but it's optional. From the other active abilities I only went with Taste of the Hunt because of the heal and raw damage over time, which increases our DPS. Although it is a great skill, in my opinion, it is optional because we are tight with points, we don't have that many to spend, and we need all those nasty passives. Also, most of the active abilities that we need are here, mainly Relentless Storm, that is our primary one, and for earlier levels Returning Storm, same thing as Relentless Storm. That's what I'm basing this build on, so that we can stun targets while also dishing out damage. From the passives, must ones are 2 weapon style, Heart of the Storm, Scion of Flame, Improved Critical. As for the Wild Strike, choose either Shock or Burn. Because of the modal ability from the Monk tree, this one, Turning Wheel, we will also do burn damage next to the shock damage when in Spirit Shift form. Plus we're also gonna continuously do burn damage when not in Spirit Shift form. That's why Scion of Flame is really important. Heart of the Storm mostly for these active abilities that we already have at our disposal. So in the end, choose for yourself, shock or burn. Two-handed style is optional. It will increase the damage that you do with Spirit Shift form, but Spirit Shift form is so weak anyway that I don't know if this is worth it. It's up to you. Combat focus, you can take it from either this tree or the monk tree, up to you, but you are gonna need it. From the monk active abilities, Swift Strikes upgraded to Swift Flurry. Now lightning strikes are also a nice option here, but it's up to you what you want from your monk. The shock damage will get increased penetration from Heart of the Storm passive, so that's why this is also a good option. Duality of Mortal Presence upgraded to Turning Wheel, as I already said, because of the added burn damage. Thunderous Blows, we get Tenacious buff, which gives us +5 might and +2 penetration, which is huge. Clarity of Agony upgraded to Enlightened Agony is optional. I'm mainly using this because I'm trying to solo with my tank, so there's no one to buff me, except my tank's Greater Lay of Hands ability. It also gives you Smart, which increases intellect, which in turn will increase the duration of the storms. Torment's Reach upgraded to Raised Torment is a must. With it we can stun enemies behind the enemy that we're hitting, really useful. And that's about it. From the passives, Lesser Wounds. Soul Mirror is optional, I really like this skill. If a ranged attack misses us, there's a 50% chance we're gonna reflect it. We don't have high deflection rating because our resolve is low, but still if you can buff the monk with higher deflection rating, which you probably can with priest or someone else, then this will be a great effect. Either choose Enervating Blows that will weaken the targets that you hit, or choose Uncanny Luck. What's good about Enervating Blows is that weaken decreases enemy's constitution. Constitution affects fortitude. If fortitude is decreased, there's more chance that our storms will stun the target. So that's why I went with Enervating Blows instead of Uncanny Luck. Improved critical and heartbeat drumming. Now I have one more point remaining. I can put it into Uncanny Luck or Rooting Pain. Rooting Pain is also a fantastic ability because it interrupts all enemies in the area when you receive a wound, but I did not have any more points to put. Maybe if you want to remove Soul Mirror and put it into Rooting Pain, it would be an option as well. Completely up to you. So there are a couple of things you can play with here. How you want to finalize it comes down to you. This build will work with or without it. As for the gear, I went with something that would boost my stats, like Constitution. Ring of Overseeing is also a good idea to increase the area of effect of the storms. And I went with Light Armor with reduced recovery time. Now for the combat demonstration. Cool thing about Monk's Swift Strikes and the abilities that we're gonna use to buff our might, smarts and all of that will come in handy for Storm Spirit Shift as well. But right now I'm gonna start by buffing myself. I first put on Swift Strikes, then I put Enlightened Agony, and then I put Thunderous Blows. With Swift Strikes we can cast our spells faster. With Enlightened Agony, duration of Thunderous Blows and Swift Flurry will increase. And after all of that, I start casting the Storm. All that remains is keep applying these effects, mainly Swift Flurry, which has got the least amount of duration, and then deal with the bastards. That's it, you are squishy, so you need help from a priest or someone else, but that's the thing, if I can do this to a group of enemies without the team, then you can imagine how powerful this bastard will be when you have someone that can buff him to oblivion and also heal him whenever he needs to be healed. It's up to you when you want to use the Storm version. I use it as the ranged component of this build, so I don't have to constantly be in melee range. With these storms constantly stunning everyone and later on Torment's Reach that will also stun enemies, you can crowd control the living shit out of anyone that you're battling with. In this fight there were a couple of boars here that I could charm to help me out, so that's why I believe that Charm Beast is a very useful ability for a starting Druid Fury. One more thing, there's the Weather of the Storm, something like that. It's the power level 7 skill that will boost your elemental resistances. I mean, for you and your team. That's why you should apply it at the beginning of the combat so that you can help your teammates as well. Forgot to mention that Monk on crit passives work with Storm form, so if you're lucky enough to score a critical hit, there's a chance that you will also do another attack instantly, which can be fantastic, especially because these bolts that you fire from your hands will hit couple of enemies, not only one. And next to that we're gonna do burn damage from the modal ability of the Monk. Thank you all for watching, I hope you like this build, and see you all soon.
Me for long. Should have run. No. Toss me something else. That's how it's done. Better try something else. No good to me. This isn't going well. That's how it's done. Take him down. This fight is mine. No good. Take this. That's not supposed to happen. Should have run.